The first time. My husband played a recording at our anniversary dinner and made 200 people believe I was the one who cheated. The second time. I let his mistress hold the microphone. She thought she was exposing me. She was reading my evidence file out loud. In my first life. The room went silent before I understood why. That was the part memory kept cleanest. Not the shouting afterward, not the cameras, not my mother's hand pulling away from mine as if shame could stain skin. Silence. A ballroom full of white roses, gold candles, champagne glasses, and people who had paid $10,000 a table to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the Vale Foundation. My husband, Adrian Vale, stood beside the stage in a black tuxedo and looked heartbroken enough to be believed. He always knew how to look hurt. He had practiced it in mirrors for years. A soft lower lip, a breath caught at the right second, eyes lifted toward the ceiling as if asking God for patience with a woman as difficult as me. I had once thought those expressions were vulnerability. By the end, I understood they were wardrobe. He wore grief the way other men wore cufflinks. Camille Arden stood near the dessert table in a silver dress, holding a phone with both hands. To everyone else, she was my husband's communications director, a polished woman with a voice like warm honey and a gift for turning scandal into sympathy. To me, she was the woman whose perfume I had smelled on Adrian's shirt 3 hours before he told me I was imagining things. In my first life, I did not know she had helped him build the trap. I only knew she looked too calm when the recording began. The speakers crackled once. Then my voice filled the ballroom. I do not care what happens to Adrian after the divorce. I just need the shares transferred before the audit. I froze because I had never said those words. The voice sounded like me. The pauses sounded like me. Even the quiet breath before audit sounded like me. Then another voice, a man's, asked, "And the affair?" My voice answered, "Let them think I loved someone else. It will be easier than explaining what he really is." Someone gasped. Someone whispered my name. My father stood so quickly his chair struck the floor. Adrian closed his eyes as if the sound physically wounded him. Camille lowered the phone and said, "I am so sorry. Mrs. Vale, he deserved to know." That was the moment the room chose its story. A loyal employee exposing an unfaithful wife, a devastated husband, a cold woman caught planning divorce and betrayal. The recording did not need to be real. It only needed to arrive before I could breathe. I tried to speak. I said it was fake. I said I had never met the man in the audio. I said the foundation audit had nothing to do with my marriage. But panic makes truth sound small. Adrian did not yell. He did something worse. He stepped toward me and whispered, loudly enough for the front tables to hear, "Elena, please do not make this uglier." That sentence became the caption under every clip the next morning. By noon, the gossip accounts called me the cheating wife who tried to steal a charity foundation. By dinner, Adrian's lawyers sent a separation agreement. By the end of the week, my mother told me I should sign quietly if I had any dignity left. By the end of the month, the board removed me from the foundation I had built from my grandmother's trust. Adrian kept the name, the donors, the building, and the sympathy. Camille kept her office beside his. I kept one thing, doubt. Not public doubt, not useful doubt. The private kind that wakes you at 3 a.m. and asks how a recording you never made could include a breath you recognized. It took me 11 months to find the answer. Adrian had not fabricated my voice from nothing. He had clipped it from years of interviews, charity speeches, voicemail messages, and one private recording I made for my father after his surgery. He fed the pieces into a private audio lab under a fake invoice for Anniversary Tribute Restoration. Then he hired a man named Lucas Vale, no relation, to speak the other half of the staged conversation. The file was mixed, compressed, renamed, and delivered to Camille's phone at 5:18 p.m. on the day of the dinner. I learned all of that too late. The lab had closed. The invoice had been replaced. The phone had been lost. The original event audio had been overwritten. The hotel cameras kept video for 30 days and audio for 7. By the time I asked for both, only silence remained. My lawyer said the case was still possible. Possible is a cruel word. It means spend money, lose sleep, and watch people who already ruined you practice patience. The last night of my first life. I sat in the parking garage beneath Vale Tower with a folder on my lap and rain on the windshield. I had finally found a copy of the invoice in an old vendor backup. It did not prove everything, but it proved enough to open the door. I remember touching the paper and laughing once. Not because anything was funny, but because 11 months of pain had become a single line item. Audio restoration package, rush delivery, anniversary gala. Then headlights filled my rearview mirror. A black company car reversed too fast. Metal screamed. My folder burst open. Papers flew into the footwell like white birds. The last thing I saw was Adrian's charity logo on the parking garage wall, lit blue by the emergency exit sign. The last thing I heard was my phone vibrating beneath the seat. One message from an unknown number. I know what he did. Do you still have the file? Then darkness. Then music. I opened my eyes to the sound of a string quartet warming up through a hotel wall. My cheek was pressed against cold marble. My hands smelled like roses and sanitizer. Above me, a gold-framed mirror reflected a woman in an ivory evening gown sitting on the floor of a private dressing suite. Dark hair pinned low, pearl earrings, a thin diamond bracelet Adrian had given me that morning in my first life, already fastened around my wrist. My phone lay beside my knee. The screen was lit with a calendar reminder. Vale Foundation 5th Anniversary Dinner. Today, 4:12 p.m. 3 hours before Camille would press play. 2 hours before Adrian would ask whether I trusted him. 90 minutes before the fake recording would be copied to the ballroom sound system. 46 minutes before I would smell Camille's perfume on his cuff and convince myself not to start a fight in public. For a long time, I did not move. The quartet repeated the same 4 measures beyond the wall. Someone in the hallway laughed. A room service cart rattled past. Life continued with the obscene confidence of a world that did not know it had already killed me once. Then my phone vibrated. Are you ready, my love? Big night. I looked at the message until the letters blurred. In my first life. I replied with a heart. This time, I typed. Almost. Then I opened the recorder app on my phone and checked storage. Empty. Clean. Waiting. That was the first gift Rebirth gave me. Not courage. Not revenge. Time. The second gift was memory. I knew where Adrian hid the tribute invoice. I knew what Camille would wear. I knew the exact sentence she would say before destroying me. I knew the ballroom technician's name, the hotel manager's weak spot, the backup drive color, the password Adrian thought was romantic, and the one thing my husband had never understood about audio. Sound remembers the room that made it. I stood slowly, one hand against the marble sink. My reflection looked perfect. That offended me more than the fear. The ivory gown fit like a promise. My makeup had been done by a woman who told me I had timeless bone structure. There was a diamond pin shaped like a small lily fastened above my heart because Adrian said lilies meant devotion. In my first life, every photo from that night made me look cold. Not because I was cold, but because betrayal had arrived before my face learned what to do this time. I turned away from the mirror and opened the black vanity case on the counter. Lipstick, blotting papers, a small perfume bottle, safety pins, a folded schedule for the gala, a slim silver USB drive I had never noticed in my first life. It rested inside the side pocket beneath a packet of mints. Not mine. Adrian had placed it there himself at 3:50 p.m. after telling me he needed to check on donors. He thought I would not open my own bag because women in evening gowns were supposed to be decorative. Not curious. I did not touch the drive with my bare fingers. The dressing suite had a fruit tray with tiny silver tongs beside the grapes. I used those. I placed the drive on a hotel notepad, photographed it from 4 angles, then wrapped it in a hand towel and slid it into my clutch. The fake file had not been copied to the ballroom yet. In my first life. Camille's phone played the recording, but Adrian had used the USB drive as the handoff. He gave it to the hotel technician and said it contained a surprise anniversary video. Camille pretended to interrupt later with her phone, but the audio came from the soundboard. That was why it sounded so clean. I knew this because 11 months after my ruin, the technician had found me outside a courthouse and apologized without looking me in the eye. His name was Noel Price. He said Mr. Vale had asked for backup routing, and Mrs. Arden had checked the file name twice. He said he thought it was part of a dramatic vow renewal. He said he was sorry. People love apologizing after evidence expires. At 4:19 p.m., I called the front desk and asked for Noel Price. The woman who answered said the audio team was busy preparing the ballroom. I said, "Tell Noel this is Elena Vale. Tell him I need him to bring the Foundation tribute drive to Suite 614 for verification before it goes live. Tell him it is a donor privacy issue." That phrase always worked in wealthy rooms. Privacy, donor, verification. People heard lawsuit without needing the word. Noel arrived 6 minutes later, flushed and carrying a tablet. He looked younger than I remembered. In my first life, guilt had aged him. Now he was 27, underpaid and terrified of inconveniencing rich people. "Mrs. Vale, is something wrong with the tribute file?" "That depends." I said, "Who gave it to you?" "Mr. Vale's assistant, Mrs. Arden. She said Mr. Vale approved it." "Did you log chain of custody?" He blinked. "For a tribute video? For donor material at a charity gala?" I let the correction sit between us. Then I smiled, just enough to make obedience feel safer than argument. "Show me your intake screen." He did. The file name was ANNIV_tribble_final ... not video, audio, created 3:28 p.m., modified 3:41 p.m., duration 1 minute and 9 seconds. He had not listened because Camille said it was a surprise. In my first life, that 1 minute and 9 seconds became the blade Adrian used to cut my life apart. Now it sat on Noel's tablet like a sleeping snake. "Do not delete it," I said. His face went pale. "Delete? I did not ask whether you were going to. I said do not." I took a blank hotel envelope from the desk and wrote the file name, timestamp, and Noel's initials across the front. Copy the file to your system exactly as planned. Then make a second copy for compliance and put it in this envelope. Mrs. Vale, I do not think I am allowed to. You are required to preserve donor materials when the Foundation chair requests it. I looked at him. I am the Foundation chair. That was still true for 3 more hours. He swallowed. Yes, ma'am. While Noelle worked. I did not ask to hear the recording. I already knew every word. More importantly, I knew hearing my fake voice too early might wake the part of me that wanted to scream. Screaming wastes breath. I needed breath. I needed hands that did not shake. I needed Adrian to believe the night was still his. Noelle sealed the envelope with the backup drive inside. I signed across the flap. He signed beneath me. Then I took a photo of him holding it, his badge visible, the envelope between us. His eyes darted toward the door. Is this about Mr. Vale? Not yet, I said. That answer frightened him more than yes. After he left, I sat at the dressing table and opened Adrian's shared cloud folder on my phone. In my first life, it took me months to guess his password. He used the date he proposed to me, which would have been romantic if he had not used the same password for hotel upgrades, private invoices, and a hidden folder labeled Vendor Drafts. I entered it now. The folder opened. Anniversary slideshow, donor list, seating chart, tribute audio. There it was again. ANNIV_tribute_final, wave. Beside it, a second file, E_val_source_clean, zip. My source voice, clean. The pieces of me he had stolen to make a woman who sounded guilty. I downloaded nothing. Downloads leave marks. Instead, I took screen recordings, folder path, file details, upload history, Adrian's account, Camille's comment at 3:44 p.m. Use the shorter cut. She sounds colder. There is a special kind of calm that arrives when pain stops being mysterious. My husband had not betrayed me in a burst of passion. He had scheduled it. He had reviewed drafts. He had asked for edits. He had listened to my manufactured guilt and decided I did not sound cruel enough. At 4:41 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Not Noelle this time. Adrian entered without waiting for permission. He looked beautiful, because villains often do. Black tuxedo, white pocket square, hair carefully imperfect. A man designed for sympathy. He smiled when he saw me. There you are. Here I am, I said. He crossed the room and kissed my temple. I let him. In my first life, I leaned into him because I wanted comfort from the person who had already sharpened the knife. This time, I noted the scent on his cuff. Amber. White tea. Camille. You seem quiet, he said. Big night. You are nervous. He brushed a loose strand of hair behind my ear. Do not be. Everyone loves you. It was almost funny. The room downstairs was full of people preparing to hate me on his command, and he still wanted credit for reassuring me. I looked at his reflection in the mirror. Do they? His hand paused. Only for half a second. Of course. I smiled at the mirror. Then I suppose tonight will be easy. Adrian smiled back. He thought I meant the dinner. I meant the evidence. At 5:03 p.m., Adrian left to greet donors, and I called the one person who had believed me too late in my first life. Her name was Mara Keene, no relation to the girl from any school scandal, though she would have liked that coincidence. Mara was an audio forensics consultant who worked divorce cases, corporate leaks, and political recordings that arrived too clean to be trusted in my first life. She agreed to review the gala file after 3 lawyers refused to touch it. She listened for 12 minutes, removed her headphones, and said, "This was built from you, but not by you." I cried so hard she pretended to check her email. In this life, she did not know me yet. That made the call harder. I had 8 minutes before Adrian's assistant came to escort me downstairs. I found Mara's number from memory and dialed. She answered on the 4th ring, voice flat. Keen audio. Ms. Keen, my name is Elena Vale. I need a same-day forensic preservation consult for a file that may be used to defame me in public tonight. There was a pause. A keyboard clicked. Mrs. Vale, as in Vale Foundation? Yes. If this is a prank, it is unusually boring. The file is called ANNIV_tribble undle final ... WAV ... It was created today at 3:28 p.m. ... modified at 3:41 and uploaded to a shared folder by my husband. A related archive called e_veil_source_clean.zip contains voice material from my past recordings. I have screenshots, screen recordings, and a sealed copy held by the hotel audio technician. I need instructions that preserve admissibility. The keyboard stopped. When Mara spoke again, her tone had changed. Do not send me the file from your phone. I know. Do not confront anyone. I know. Do not let the source device leave the venue if you can avoid it. I am working on that. Who is playing it? His mistress. Another pause. That is not usually the word clients lead with. I died once for being polite. The sentence escaped before I could soften it. Mara went quiet. I expected her to hang up. Instead, she said, Mrs. Vale, are you safe? The question almost broke me. Not because the answer was yes, because in my first life, no one asked until safety was gone. For now, I said, Mara gave instructions quickly. Record every interaction from now on. Preserve the original handoff chain. Do not alter the file. Get the event board's raw output if possible. Capture the room audio separately. If public playback happens, let it happen on their system, not mine. A fake recording becomes more useful when the person using it can be tied to distribution, she said. If they play it, they authenticate their own act. Good, I said. You sound too calm. I am very angry. That is not the same thing. I looked at the ivory gown in the mirror, the diamond lily above my heart, the woman Adrian expected to destroy. Tonight it is... At 5:19 p.m., I walked downstairs with my recorder running in my clutch. The hotel corridor smelled like lilies, candle wax, and cold air conditioning. Staff moved around me with trays and earpieces. Donors laughed near the ballroom entrance. Above the doors, a gold sign read, Vale Foundation 5th Anniversary Gala. In my first life. I paused beneath that sign and felt grateful. Tonight, I watched the reflection of my own face in the polished brass and wondered how many lies looked beautiful from far away. Camille stood beside the registration table in her silver dress, exactly as memory promised. She had soft waves, red nails, and the kind of smile that made older donors call her such a bright girl. Adrian stood beside her with one hand lightly touching her elbow, not affectionate enough to accuse, not innocent enough to ignore. When he saw me, he moved his hand away. Elena, Camille said, honey warm. You look stunning. So do you... Her smile sharpened for 1 second. Compliments make guilty women suspicious. She glanced at my clutch. Everything okay upstairs? Noelle said there was some donor privacy concern. There it was. She had already checked. In my first life, that would have frightened me. This time, it gave me a timestamp. Camille knew about Noelle before 5:22 p.m. Camille was monitoring the file. Minor verification, I said. Nothing that affects tonight. Adrian's eyes touched mine. You should have asked me. For permission? For help? He smiled for the nearest donor. You know I handle production. Yes, I said. I know. Camille laughed lightly, as if we were charming. You two are adorable. 5 years and still negotiating everything. Not everything, I said. Some things are settled. She did not understand the sentence, but Adrian did not like it. His hand tightened around his champagne glass. Good. Not enough to stop him. Enough to make him careful. Careful men leave cleaner patterns than panicked ones. At 5:47 p.m., my mother arrived. She wore emerald silk and family disappointment in my first life. She stood by Adrian after the recording because public shame embarrassed her more than my pain moved her. A man does not stage grief like that, she told me 2 days later. You must have done something. I had carried those words like glass in my chest for 11 months. Now she kissed both my cheeks and said, "Try to smile tonight. You look severe in photographs." I will smile when something is funny, I said. She frowned. Elena, I touched her wrist gently. Mother, if someone accuses me of something tonight, do not answer before you see proof. Her face changed. Not enough, but a little. What does that mean? It means you get one chance to be my mother before you become another witness. She pulled her wrist back. In my first life, I would have apologized for the sharpness. This time, I let it stand. Love without evidence had failed me. Maybe love with warning would do better. Maybe not. I had stopped building plans around other people's courage. The ballroom opened at 6. Gold light poured across white roses. The stage was set with a large blank screen, 2 microphones, and a small table for the anniversary tribute. Adrian had arranged our seats at the front, center, perfect for cameras. Camille's seat was 2 tables away, close enough to interrupt with impact, far enough to look reluctant. The donors took their places, glasses filled, cameras lifted. Every detail matched the first life, except one. This time, I had a second recorder taped beneath the stage. Noelle placed it there after Mara told me exactly what to say. Independent accessibility backup. I told him, donor hearing accommodation. He did not ask questions after that. People in formal wear will do almost anything if the request sounds like policy. At 6:31 p.m., Adrian squeezed my hand beneath the table. Whatever happens tonight, he whispered, remember I love you. I looked at our joined hands. His thumb moved over my ring, the same thumb that had approved a shorter cut because I sounded too warm. I will remember everything, I said. He smiled, satisfied. Camille lifted her phone across the room and checked the screen. The trap was alive. I let it breathe. Dinner began with applause. It is strange what people will clap for before knowing the truth. They clapped for the foundation's scholarship numbers. They clapped for Adrian's speech about transparency. They clapped when he called me the conscience of this institution and kissed my hand for the cameras. In my first life, that kiss became evidence against me. Comment sections replayed it beside the fake recording and wrote that my face looked guilty. A woman can blink under bright lights, and strangers will call it confession. This time. I watched the room while Adrian performed devotion. Table 1, major donors. Table 2, board members. Table 3, my parents. Adrian's aunt, 2 journalists, and a retired judge who owed my grandmother a favor. Table 4, Camille's friends from the communications team, already holding phones at the ready. They thought they were waiting for scandal. They were waiting for evidence collection. At 7:04 p.m., the first course was cleared. Adrian leaned toward me. The tribute is after the auction. I know. You look distracted. I am listening. To what? The ballroom speakers hummed softly overhead. Noel moved near the sound booth with his headset on, avoiding my eyes. Camille stood and crossed toward the hallway, phone in hand. Adrian did not watch her leave, which told me he knew exactly where she was going. Background noise. I said. He laughed. You always notice strange things. Only the things that matter later. Camille returned at 7:11 p.m. In her left hand, she carried the silver USB drive. Not the one from my vanity case. That one was still in my clutch. This was her copy, the one Adrian thought would vanish after the dinner. I knew because she touched it with her thumb twice while crossing the room, a nervous habit I remembered from deposition footage. She placed it beside her wine glass, half hidden under her napkin. I waited until Adrian stood for the charity auction. Then I stood too. Excuse me. My mother looked up. Where are you going? To powder my nose. That was what women in ballrooms were allowed to do without questions. In the hallway, I found Camille's assistant, Beth, struggling with a box of donor gift bags in my first life. Beth was fired 2 weeks after the scandal for leaking internal tension. In truth, she had seen Camille kiss Adrian near the loading dock and made the mistake of telling another assistant. I did not know if Beth would become brave tonight, but I knew she understood fear. Fear, used carefully, can point toward truth. Beth, I said. Camille left a silver drive at her table. Adrian may ask you to retrieve it later. If he does, bring it to Noel Price at the sound booth first and ask him to log it. Say Mrs. Vale requested chain of custody for all media. Her face strained. Is Camille in trouble? That depends on Camille. I do not want to be involved. You already are if they make you carry it without a log. I softened my voice. I am not asking you to accuse anyone. I am asking you to make sure no one can accuse you. That sentence landed. People rarely protect truth for truth's sake. They protect themselves. That is not noble, but it is useful. Beth nodded once. When I returned, Adrian was finishing a joke about how I never let him win auctions. The room laughed. Camille watched me sit, eyes narrowed. She knew I had moved a piece. She did not know which one. That was enough to make her careless. At 7:38 p.m., the auction ended. Adrian raised his glass. Before dessert, I wanted to share something personal. The room warmed instantly. This was the moment he had built, a public performance of love before a public performance of betrayal. He turned toward me. 5 years ago, Elena taught me that generosity is not an image, it is a discipline. Tonight's tribute is for her. Applause, cameras, my mother's wet eyes, Adrian's hand over his heart. Noel dimmed the lights. The blank screen glowed blue. The tribute video began. In my first life, it showed childhood photos, foundation events, and a montage of Adrian and me smiling at donors. Then Camille interrupted just before the final slide. Tonight, the first 2 minutes played the same. Younger Elena cutting a ribbon, Adrian kissing my cheek, my grandmother holding the first foundation plaque, soft piano, carefully edited devotion. I felt grief then, not for Adrian, for the woman in those photos. She had loved the foundation. She had believed marriage was a partnership and privacy was safety. She had sat beside a man who collected her voice while she slept. I did not hate her for being fooled. That took longer to learn than any proof chain. You can be intelligent and still be betrayed. You can be careful and still miss the knife if the hand holding it once held yours. The video reached the final slide. Adrian stood as if overwhelmed. "I am sorry," he said softly into his microphone. "I did not expect to be emotional." That was Camille's cue. She rose from table 4, silver dress catching the light. "Adrian, I am sorry." Her voice shook beautifully, too beautifully. "I cannot watch you honor someone who has been lying to you." The room froze. My mother whispered, "What is she doing?" I folded my hands in my lap. Adrian turned, face paling on command. "Camille, sit down." "No." She lifted her phone. "You deserve the truth. In my first life." I stood then. I tried to stop her. That made me look afraid. Tonight, I did not move. Camille looked at me, waiting for panic. She found stillness instead. It irritated her. "Elena has been planning to leave you," she said. "She has been using the foundation audit to move assets, and she has been seeing someone else." Whispers moved through the ballroom like spilled water. Adrian whispered my name. The cameras rose. Perfect. Let them record. Camille looked toward the sound booth. "Noelle, please play the file." Noelle did not move. Camille's smile tightened. The anniversary file. The one Mr. Vale approved. Noel touched his headset. Across the room. Beth stood near the booth holding the silver drive in both hands. She looked terrified. She also looked visible. Every camera caught her. Adrian's face changed for the first time. Not grief. Not heartbreak. Warning. Beth spoke into the spare microphone before he could stop her. "Mrs. Vale requested chain of custody for all media. This drive was delivered to sound by Camille Arden at 7:41 p.m. The ballroom went quieter than death. Camille turned white. "Beth, what are you doing?" I stood then, slowly. Not because I needed to speak yet, because the room needed to see I was not being dragged. "Let her play it," I said. Adrian looked at me. "Elena, you wanted the truth in public." I said, "Use the sound system." Camille stared at the drive, then at Adrian. He gave the smallest nod in his mind. The drive still held my ruin. In mine, it held the beginning of his. Noel pressed play. My fake voice filled the ballroom exactly as it had in my first life. "I do not care what happens to Adrian after the divorce. I just need the shares transferred before the audit." The sound came through the speakers clean and cold. Someone gasped. My father half rose from his chair. Adrian closed his eyes, grief returning like a trained dog. Camille gripped the microphone with both hands. For 4 seconds, the room believed history had repeated itself. Then the file kept playing. There was a click, a chair scrape. Camille's real voice, sharper than her ballroom voice, said, "Use the shorter cut. She sounds colder." A man's voice answered. "If we cut more, the breath pattern gets obvious," Adrian said. "No one will analyze breath patterns at dinner," Camille laughed. "Her mother will believe it before dessert." My mother made a sound I had never heard before. The screen behind Adrian changed from the tribute slide to a blue evidence layout Noel and Mara had helped me prepare in the last 90 minutes. No readable text, just file blocks, timestamps as shapes, audio waves, and a chain of custody diagram clean enough for the room to understand without reading a word. Cameras captured everything. The retired judge at table 3 leaned forward. The journalists stopped pretending not to record. Adrian moved toward the sound booth. "Turn it off." Noel did not. Bless him for finding courage when it finally mattered. The audio continued. Adrian's voice again. Lower this time. "The point is not to prove she cheated. The point is to make her answer while everyone is watching. Once the board panics, she signs. The shares move before the audit committee asks about the Westlake transfers," Camille said. "And me?" Adrian said. "You get communications director in name now. Executive director after the divorce," she said. "And after that?" He laughed softly. "After that? You stop asking me questions in hotel hallways." Camille dropped the microphone. It struck the floor with a sharp pop that made half the room flinch. The ballroom speakers fed the sound back into themselves. A thin whine rose and died. On stage, Adrian stood beneath the blue screen, face stripped of every expression he had prepared. Without performance, he looked smaller. I picked up Camille's fallen microphone. My hand did not shake. That surprised me. Somewhere inside me, a woman who had died in a parking garage was watching. "For anyone recording," I said, "please continue." No one laughed. No one moved to stop me. The first audio you heard was fabricated from archived recordings of my speeches, interviews, voicemails, and one private message to my father. The second audio is from a file Adrian Vale and Camille Arden approved today while preparing to frame me in this room. I have preserved the source folder, the upload history, the hotel intake log, the sound booth chain of custody, and an independent recording of this playback. Adrian found his voice. "This is insane." "No," I said. "It is organized." That line traveled through the room like a match. He pointed at Noel. "You are fired." Noel looked at the hotel manager, who had appeared near the ballroom doors during the recording. The manager did not look at Adrian. She looked at me. That was the difference between reputation and liability. Reputation stands beside the richest man until evidence arrives. Liability changes seats. Camille whispered. "Elena, I did not know he was going to use it like that. In my first life. Those words would have reopened a wound. This time, they bored me." "Camille, your voice is on the file." "He told me it was only to scare you. You practiced my ruin and called it only..." She covered her mouth. "Some women cry like apology is weather." Camille cried like she was checking mirrors. My father spoke from table 3. "Elena, what is this about the Westlake transfers?" There it was. The real reason. Not love, not jealousy, not even Camille. The foundation audit had found money moving through a donor shell into Westlake Advisory, a company Adrian controlled through his college roommate. I had asked for transaction records 2 days before the anniversary dinner in my first life. Adrian smiled, kissed my forehead, and said he loved my thoroughness. Then, he built a scandal that made every question I asked sound like revenge. "It is about the money Adrian needed me too disgraced to trace." I said, "The audit committee has copies." He stared at me. You sent them? At 5:56 p.m. That was not entirely true. Mara sent them at 5:56 p.m. from a secure link after I forwarded the folder path. I did not need to explain every hand in the room. Proof was not confession. Proof was structure. The ballroom doors opened again. 2 foundation trustees entered with the audit chair. Irene Cho. Irene was 60, elegant, and famous for smiling at donors while removing them from boards. In my first life, she avoided me after the scandal because no one wanted to inherit my disgrace. In this life, she walked straight to the front. "Mr. Vale," she said, "the executive committee has received enough to pause all discretionary transfers pending review." Adrian laughed once. "During my anniversary dinner?" Irina looked at the screen, then at the room, then at him. "You made it a public meeting when you used the Foundation's event system to play defamatory material against the chair." The retired judge at table 3 murmured, "That was unwise." It was the first sentence that almost made me smile. Camille tried to leave. Beth stepped aside because Beth was not a guard. The hotel manager was. She did not touch Camille. She simply said, "Ms. Arden, the hotel will need the phone you used to coordinate media playback. If you leave with it, our legal department will document refusal." Camille stopped. People rarely run when the door has paperwork. Adrian turned to me then. Not the room, not the trustees, me. His eyes were wet, but this time the tears were not for show. They were for the collapse of a world where he had always controlled the first sentence. "Elena," he said quietly, "you do not understand what you are doing." "I do. This destroys both of us." There it was again. The old language. If he fell, I must be falling too. If he was exposed, I must be cruel. If I survived him, I must be selfish. Men like Adrian build cages out of plural pronouns. Us, we, both, family, foundation. They never say me when consequence arrives. "No," I said. "It destroys your version of us." The room did not clap. Good. This was not a performance anymore. It was a record. I placed the microphone on the table and looked at Camille. "You wanted me exposed before dessert." She shook her head, mascara running. "Dessert is in 10 minutes. I said, "Try to be concise with legal. People imagine public revenge as thunder. In reality, it sounds like chairs moving." The first chair was Irene Cho's. She took the seat beside me and opened her tablet. The second was my father, sitting down slowly after realizing outrage required choosing a target. The third was my mother, who rose from table 3 and walked to my side without touching me. That mattered. In my first life, she grabbed my wrist in front of everyone and hissed, "Do not make a scene." Tonight, she stopped one step away and asked, "May I stand here?" It was not enough. It was also more than she had given me before. "Yes," I said. Adrian watched her stand beside me, and something in his face broke. Not love, ownership. He had counted on my family as part of his stage design. My mother's silence, my father's temper, their fear of gossip, their belief that a polished man in public was safer than a complicated daughter in pain. He had arranged the room like furniture. He had not expected any piece to move. The hotel manager, Ms. Bell, announced that the event would pause for a private compliance matter. That was a delicate phrase for a ballroom full of donors filming Betrayal. No one left. People who pretend to dislike scandal are very committed to hearing the end of it. Noelle stopped the evidence audio and exported the playback log to 2 hotel drives, while Mara stayed on the phone in my ear through one hidden earbud. Calm as a surgeon. Do not over-explain. Mara said, "Let documents do work." I looked at Adrian. He was speaking quickly to Irene, claiming marital conflict, claiming a misunderstanding, claiming he had been trying to protect the foundation from my instability. He said the word unstable twice. Men like Adrian love that word. It turns a woman's memory into weather. I took the sealed envelope Noelle had signed earlier and placed it on the table. Original hotel backup, logged at 4:27 p.m., before public playback. Then I placed my phone beside it with the screen recording cued. Shared folder path, file history, source archive, Camille's edit comment, Adrian's account. Then the silver USB from my vanity case. Unplayed duplicate recovered from my private bag before sound intake. It has not been handled by Adrian or Camille since I found it. Then a small black recorder. Independent room audio from 5:19 p.m. onward. I did not slam anything. I did not throw papers. I did not call him names. I made a row. Evidence behaves best in rows. Irene looked at each item. Ms. Bell, we will need hotel counsel. Ms. Bell nodded. Already called. Adrian laughed again. Too loud. This is absurd. Elena has been planning this. Look at her. She has a whole production. Yes, I said. That is what happens when someone frames me once. The sentence slipped out before I could stop it. Adrian stared. My mother turned toward me. For 1 second, I thought I had said too much. Then Irene asked the only useful question. Once? I breathed in. The room tilted. Memory and marble and rainwater under my tongue. I could not tell them I had died. Not because they would not believe me, though they would not. Because some truths are not evidence. Some truths are fuel. He prepared this as if he had practiced. I said, I am saying I recognized the pattern. Mara murmured through the earbud. Good recovery. Camille sat at table 4 with hotel security near her shoulder and her phone face down in front of her. She looked less like a villain then. Smaller, meaner, more human. That did not soften anything. People think understanding someone's weakness should make you forgiving. It only made me precise. Camille had not destroyed me because she was powerful. She had destroyed me because she wanted to be chosen by someone powerful, and I was the cost she agreed to pay. At 8:04 p.m., Adrian's lawyer arrived. In my first life, Mr. Harlan sent me the separation agreement and wrote, given the unfortunate public circumstances, Mrs. Vale may wish to avoid additional scrutiny. Tonight, he entered the ballroom, saw the evidence row, heard 30 donors whispering, and aged 5 years before reaching the table. No one should make statements without counsel, he said. I agree. I said, please tell your client to stop. Adrian snapped. You do not get to speak to my attorney. You used my voice without permission in a fabricated audio file distributed through a Foundation event system. I looked at Harlan. I suspect I will be speaking to several attorneys. Harlan did not answer. Smart man. My father finally approached. He looked at the evidence, then at Adrian, then at me. In my first life, he gave a statement to a business magazine saying he was heartbroken but not surprised by my conduct. The sentence cost me 2 board seats and most of my remaining pride. Tonight, he opened his mouth, closed it, and said, What do you need? There are questions that arrive too late to heal, but early enough to be recorded. I considered making him beg. I considered telling him to sit down. Instead, I gave him a job, because usefulness was more efficient than punishment in the middle of a room. Call grandmother's trust council. I said, tell her the foundation chair is preserving evidence of financial misconduct and defamation. Then call no reporters. Say nothing about family. Do not protect Adrian with embarrassment. His jaw tightened at the command. Then he nodded. All right. My mother touched the back of a chair. Not me. Elena, I should have asked before believing anything. You have not believed anything yet. I said, you have seen proof. She looked as if the distinction hurt. Good. It should. In my first life, people treated belief like charity, something they could give or withhold according to comfort. I had learned to prefer proof. Proof did not love me. Proof did not hug me. Proof did not apologize. Proof stood where it was placed and made liars walk around it. At 8:17 p.m., Irene suspended Adrian from Foundation Authority pending investigation. At 8:22, Ms. Bell confirmed the hotel's event system preserved full playback logs. At 8:29, Mara received Noelle's exported file and messaged one line, clean chain. At 8:36, Camille signed a preliminary statement saying Adrian had instructed her to interrupt the tribute and present the recording. She claimed she did not know the audio was fabricated. That was a lie. It was also a crack. Adrian stopped speaking after that. Silence looked different on him when he had not chosen it. Dessert arrived at 8:40 because hotels are machines, and machines do not care about scandal. Tiny chocolate cakes with gold leaf were placed on tables where no one wanted to eat. In my first life, dessert never came. The room dissolved into shouting before the kitchen could serve it. Tonight, the cakes sat under soft light like evidence of another life, one where anniversaries were only anniversaries. I looked at mine and laughed once. My mother startled. What is funny? Nothing. I said, that is why. At 8:47, I walked out of the ballroom before anyone could decide how the story should end. Cameras followed. I did not run. I did not hide my face. Outside the doors, the hallway smelled like lilies and extinguished candles. Noel stood near the service entrance with his headset around his neck. Mrs. Vale, he said. I am sorry, I almost. You logged it this time. He nodded hard. Then remember that feeling. I said, next time, log it before someone asks. He looked ashamed, but not destroyed. Shame can become useful if it arrives before denial. I left him there and took the elevator to the private dressing floor. My gown dragged behind me like a white flag no one had earned. In the suite, I removed the diamond lily from my chest and placed it on the counter. Adrian had chosen it because lilies meant devotion. He was wrong. Lilies also meant funerals. Then I opened my laptop, created a folder, and named it Case File 002, the anniversary recording. The official consequences took longer than the public ones. Public consequence is fast because it feeds on appetite. Legal consequence has forms. By midnight, clips from the ballroom had already spread across every platform that had mocked me in my first life. The captions were different this time. Cheating wife exposed became husband's fake audio exposed at gala. Cold foundation chair became calmest woman in the room. Mistress reveals recording became Mistress accidentally plays proof. I did not read many comments. Strangers had not saved me by changing their minds. Evidence had. At 1:12 a.m., Adrian sent his first private message. Elena, please. At 1:14, his second. We can still control this. At 1:20, his third. Think about the foundation. I screenshotted all three and added them to the folder. Not because they were dramatic, because men like Adrian reveal themselves in verbs. Control. Think. We. Not once did he write, sorry. Camille wrote at 2:03 a.m. She said Adrian manipulated her. She said she was frightened. She said she never wanted my life ruined. I read her message twice, then saved it under witness pressure. Unverified. In my first life. I would have wanted her apology to mean something, because pain begs for recognition. This time, I understood apology without cost is just another performance. Camille could tell the truth to investigators. Then I would decide whether her regret had weight. The next morning, Irene called at 7. The executive committee has voted to appoint an interim director. Adrian's access is suspended. Westlake transfers are frozen. We need your statement by noon. Use the facts. I said, donors want reassurance. Then reassure them the audit works. She was quiet for one beat. Then she said, your grandmother would have liked that. That hurt in a clean way. My grandmother built the Vale Foundation before Adrian ever learned to say philanthropy with a straight face. She left controlling authority to me because she said I had a talent for noticing missing receipts. In my first life, people said I had betrayed her legacy. Tonight, the missing receipts finally had company. By noon, the foundation released a statement without adjectives. Audio used at the anniversary event was under forensic review. Executive authority paused. Audit expanded. Donor funds secured. Chair cooperating. It did not call me brave. It did not call Adrian guilty. It simply moved power away from his hands. Sometimes the most beautiful sentence is procedural. My parents came to see me that afternoon. I almost refused. Then I remembered the version of myself who died, wanting one person in her family to ask what happened, before deciding who I was. I let them in. But I did not make tea. My father stood in my living room, holding his phone like a schoolboy called to the principal. The Trust Council has copies of everything you asked me to send. Thank you. He flinched at the formality. Good. Let him hear the distance he built. My mother looked smaller without the emerald silk and ballroom light. Elena, I failed you last night before you even asked for help. You did. She nodded, tears rising. In another version of this, would I have believed him? There it was. Some part of her had seen the edge of the first life without knowing its name. I looked at her carefully. Yes. She covered her mouth. You would have told me not to make a scene. I said, you would have asked what I had done to make him so hurt. You would have chosen the easiest story because it embarrassed you less. My father whispered. Elena. No, you asked what I needed last night. This is what I need now. Do not make my pain smaller so your guilt fits better. The room went still. My mother cried quietly. My father looked out the window. I did not comfort either of them. That was not cruelty. That was order. The person harmed should not be assigned cleanup because the witnesses arrived late. Over the next week, the investigation widened. Mara's preliminary report found splice points, mismatched room tone, unnatural breath spacing, and compression artifacts consistent with generated assembly. The source archive contained labeled clips from my speeches and voicemails. Adrian's account had uploaded it. Camille's comment had requested edits. Noelle's chain of custody confirmed the gala playback. The hotel backup captured Adrian ordering the file turned off, only after his own voice began playing. Westlake Advisory's transfers connected to Foundation discretionary funds, routed through consulting invoices. Adrian's college roommate tried to call me twice. I did not answer. People who hide money always develop urgent explanations after bank records arrive. Camille cooperated on day 9, not out of conscience, out of calculation. She provided messages where Adrian promised her the executive director role after my removal. She also provided a voice memo where he said, "Once Elena looks unstable, no one will care what she found in the audit." Her lawyer called it context. Mara called it useful. I called it another folder. Adrian resigned from the Foundation on day 12. He did not admit wrongdoing. Men like him rarely do, unless confession buys something. He said he was stepping back to protect the institution from distraction. The word distraction appeared 7 times in his statement. The missing funds appeared 0 times. By then, the donors had already chosen their language. They were concerned. They were reviewing. They were committed to transparency. It was amazing how quickly people discovered principles once cameras turned toward their table. The divorce filing came on day 15. This time. I filed first, not because I needed speed, because order matters. My petition included defamation, misuse of marital communications, financial misconduct discovery, and preservation requests for every device Adrian and Camille used in the 30 days before the gala. Harlan, his lawyer, asked whether we could keep things private. He chose a ballroom, my lawyer said. I liked her immediately. 1 month after the dinner. I returned to the hotel, not for nostalgia, for closure with receipts. Ms. Bell met me in the ballroom during afternoon setup for another charity event. No white roses this time, no gold candles, just workers moving chairs and testing microphones. The stage looked smaller without Betrayal standing on it. We updated our media intake policy. Ms. Bell said, "No personal devices routed through event sound without logged authorization." Good. Noelle helped draft it. That almost made me smile. Better. She left me alone for a few minutes. I stood at the center of the room and listened. No applause, no fake voice, no champagne whispers, just a microphone hum and the soft scrape of chairs. In my first life, the ballroom had been the place where my name was taken from me. In my second, it was just a room. That was the strange mercy of proof. It did not erase pain. It returned objects to their proper size. A ballroom became a ballroom. A husband became a defendant. A mistress became a witness. A recording became a file. I opened my case folder on the stage table. Final report, hotel logs, audio analysis, trustee vote, divorce filing, Westlake freeze notice, Camille's cooperation statement, Adrian's resignation. My grandmother's foundation seal at the top of a new policy page. Case file 002, the anniversary recording. Status, public lie reversed. Primary weapon, fabricated audio. Primary evidence, the original room that made the sound. Outcome, chair retained, funds frozen, marriage dissolved, audit active. I closed the folder and rested my palm on the cover. In my first life. I thought truth needed people to be fair. It does not. Fairness is a hope. Proof is a tool. Hope asks people to become better before they hurt you. Proof lets them reveal who they are and brings a receipt. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. For 1 second, my body remembered rain in a parking garage and headlights in the mirror. Then I looked at the screen. One message. I know what he did. Do you still have the file? Same words, Same unknown number, different life. This time, I was not bleeding under a steering wheel. This time, the folder was already closed. I typed back, yes. Then I added, send your evidence through counsel. The reply came almost immediately. There are others. I looked across the empty ballroom. Sunlight moved over the polished floor in long gold bars. Somewhere below, a sound technician tested a microphone and said, check 1. The speaker answered with a clean, harmless echo. I picked up case file 002 and slid it into my bag. Adrian had taught me one thing worth keeping. A recording can ruin a life if it arrives first. So from now on, I would arrive earlier. Thank you for listening to Reborn with Proof. The next case begins before anyone believes the victim is in danger.